Well, I thought for sure my son wouldn't have it, but
If someone's willing to undercut them and, you know, do good work.
we still have to vote on it yet.
Sure.
Call this meeting order. I'll stand and place the flag for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yocum. I'm present. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims as written.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of payroll.
Motion to approve payroll.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Treasury Report, Trust Indiana. I have a report here from Brenda Pruitt. We'll make it very brief. This year in the main checking account, the interest earned in June 2021 so far is $3,006 in main checking account. American Rescue Plan, the interest on that was $142.37, $140.37. Trust Indiana's $420.08. So the total interest earned on her investments is $3,568.93. Anybody has any questions on that, you can see the report up here or talk to Florinda. Open issues, Health Department update, COVID-19. Got an update here I will read. If anybody has any questions, please contact the local health department. It says the total number of positive cases from July 1st to July 16 is 17. Fully vaccinated Vermilion County residents, 5,363. Total from last meeting was 5,296. Additional 67 vaccines have been given. The health department staff have held vaccine clinics at both schools in Vermilion County. Will return August 2nd for the second dose to be administered. There are several different variants of COVID, and the Indiana State Health Department has sent us a variant of concerns, which is the Delta strain. Unfortunately, we do not have one reported case. We'll be monitoring this closely. And we are in the yellow now, so you can update on that.
Had no fatalities though, correct?
What?
No fatalities,
No,
nobody
I
died.
didn't say that, no. Open issues, said we did the health department, Vermilion Rise. Tom, you got anything to say, or?
I think Bob sent us an email too that he'll be back next meeting for an agreement.
Bob's on the road. Did meet with the gentleman from Illinois this week. Still looking at doing something here at the Rise. And then, did you all see that letter that was sent to us by Dan Sooner about getting with the Indiana Economic Development? So that's a positive thing also. Vermilion Trails Alliance, I think someone's here. Les Zimmerman.
Les Zimmerman, Vermilion Trails Alliance. Have a request for you. I emailed you and I've just given you a hard copy of an invitation to bid. This is for the Hillsdale project. We're very close to starting for construction. I want to get a contractor hired. The legal requirement is to run this invitation to bid. I ran that by Annie here and she corrected one thing on there. You'll see where I chicken scratched it out and replaced the clerk's office with the auditor's office. Otherwise, she has proofed this. It all looks good. Am I correct, Annie?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't read it totally myself yet. You just sent it out today, didn't you? You just sent it out today?
No, I emailed it to you a couple days ago, and I've just now given you a hard copy.
So Les, is there a push to get this done at this meeting instead of next meeting? Is there a reason for that?
Yes, because of our construction schedule, that needs to run in the paper next Wednesday.
It's an invitation for bids.
Invitation for bid. And I apologize to you in the email for your short notice, but I just got that from the engineers. this past week.
HWC developed the plans and the specifications for this? And
They
they're
are
gonna-
they are being developed as we speak, yes. And they should be,
They'll be ready by the
they
time.
should,
it's
oh,
published.
yeah, they'll be ready by the time the advertising.
Now, are you seeking financing on this, or you already got the money on this?
Money's in the bank.
Okay.
Who's gonna-
Running this ad, the money to run this ad for the Clintonian will be minimal. It will come out of the grant funds as well.
Is that the grant for economic development pitched in and?
Yes.
For about 185,000 or something like that, or 200?
We got a grant for 150, we got a match for
Okay,
37,500.
that was somewhere around that. About
Total of
100.
187.5.
Okay.
Who's gonna review the plans and specs and sign off on them? Would that be you or Tom?
We've hired an engineering firm to do that.
They're gonna oversee the whole project?
Actually, I will be perfectly honest with you, I don't know how that process works. We're in touch with the engineers, and they will administer this thing as far as I know. That's part of their
Hanman, Wagle, and Klein?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all I'm asking from you today is your approval for me, and I will do this, I will run it in the paper. But if I can get your approval to put this in a paper, it needs to run 2 consecutive weeks. The construction schedule is calling for the first appearance in the newspaper to be July the 28th.
You got a time problem with the water too, don't you? There's a water issue there,
You mean the creek being up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the river's got the creek backed up.
I'm saying, that's your dry time of year to get this thing done, get it.
Yes, I mean, we need to be on this thing. When the conditions are right, we need to hit it.
So, can you explain a little bit what all that consists of? Is it of removing the ties down through there? What else is clearing some brush, so people around here would kind of know what you're
Well,
talking
the
about?
process, I mean, once we get this bidding process underway, we're gonna ask the bids to be submitted to you all. I think it says in there by August the 17th, which you have a meeting that day, and you will open the bids, and we will make that decision. We're gonna run these ads per the legal requirement in the local paper 2 times, 2 consecutive weeks, beginning a week from tomorrow. We will also contact every excavating company that we can think of that's local, probably including somebody over like Crane over in Park County, but we'll hit Lubavitch and Kenizer and White's and, the Farrington, Swangle, all of our excavating companies here locally, and we'll contact them directly. Once you open the bids, in the meantime, we are going to be installing a creek crossing. White Construction, Brad Hill there has volunteered to do that and bear the cost for that. I mean, I talked about buy-in, I talked about participation to you. I mean, we're really getting it. We just discussed, okay, so that creek crossing, we will have to purchase the rock, probably at least 12 loads of riprap and number 2s. Total cost for the stone will be around $4,000, give or take. But the excavator time and all the labor will be furnished, donated to us. The next step then will be to use the creek crossing to take an excavator over there, take out the stumps, stack the brush, burn it all, get it cleaned up, and then we will come in with a skid steer. Again, that's going to be another volunteer operation. Take up the ties, clear the thing, and get it ready for the contractor. They will come in. Basically, it's going to be a mounted tailgate and a bunch of stone in there, grading, leveling, vibratory roller compactor, pouring some concrete, and then taking up the creek crossing.
So you're already gonna have it cleared out with the river ties gone by volunteers before they come in?
Yes, that's the plan.
So you'll leave the ballast there and all that?
Ballast that's our subgrade.
I know.
All the ballast.
What are you putting on top of it for the wall?
I think we're doing 53s, probably 2 inches of 53s and then 2 inches of fines.
Okay.
All going to be lime.
And you're going on the cut around?
Yes.
Around the open?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've got, I don't know if you recall, but you all have entered into a licensing agreement with DNR. You've licensed that for 25 years. And we worked real hard to get that arrangement for you.
When you take the crossing out, what are you gonna do with the rock or
We're
whatever?
going to
comes out with
stockpile it.
it?
We hope to stockpile it on site in anticipation of doing another phase of this project, at which time we may be able to use it in the construction of the next phase. So the taking out, I mean, it's going to be, we're not going to get rid of it. We're going to store it on site.
And property owners are in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, when we first talked about this 4 or 5 years ago, we secured that property on that railroad grade. The south half belonged to the farmer, and the north half supposedly belonged to DNR. And how did we come out in that agreement? DNR, did we end up taking possession of that DNR property, or they still got some? I thought we thought we got it.
Your attorney worked out a little scenario where we took possession of that. The Vermillion Trails Alliance took possession of that. We have an affidavit from DNR that tells us they have no interest whatsoever in that property. We took possession of it and we quit-claimed it to you.
And that little piece there that we got from the other gentleman, that's all been recorded. And
That's all been, yes, everything's recorded. It's actually, if you poke up the computer program, it shows it's owned by the Vermillion County Commissioners. All 3 parts.
we also have a little piece there that belongs to Vermillion County Commissioners. When you come out on the railroad going back north, and that Y, there's an acre or two.
Along the road.
That
I'm aware of
belongs to the
that.
county, and too bad we can't, that might be something that, it might work into that. If we figure out some of you guys need it or could use it. Have you seen it yet? A
Not
little
sure
piece
which
of
one you're
property
talking.
right in the Y of the road, when you come out, down there on,
That was gonna work out real good if we could get across the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
But we can't.
yeah. You come back north, it's there in case you guys might be interested in using it.
Yeah.
So you want us to approve,
I want you to give me permission to publish that in the newspaper starting next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow.
Well,
It'll be
that's
published.
due to time constraints, I would make a motion to approve ETA's recommendation or proposal to advertise.
I'll second your motion.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get this going. I'll be in touch with Eric Jones tomorrow.
Can you clarify with us that the engineer is going to oversee the project, inspect the project, and, you know what I mean?
I will do that.
Right?
Do what?
I want him to verify the engineer is going to oversee the project.
Sure. That should be part of their
Yeah.
work, but.
He wasn't for sure, you did.
Yeah, we're leaning on them for all of this stuff. I mean, they're drawing specs and everything. But I think it's important to note that we will be contacting all of our local excavating companies.
And you think
Yeah.
you're okay with the funds versus the project?
We'll see.
Okay.
Time will tell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, thank you for your attendance at our grand opening the other day. It was a great event.
So good.
Was nicely done.
Sorry you couldn't come. I know you were working.
Yeah, mom actually just had surgery about a day before, so unfortunately I couldn't make it.
Before
but-
we get too far gone, met with Thrive also, and they're still interested in, I guess you guys were just in there like a day or two before I went down.
Tom and I.
Right, and so, need a letter of support if you guys want to continue using Thrive, for the next level trails and the other programs that they're providing. They also have 6, grant writers that we're gonna be able to start accessing also, if that's of interest to you all.
At no charge.
But, they're gonna be asking, or they have asked us for a little bit over $14,000 in support of that program. And, we'll be asking the council for that for next year. This is for '22. So if you guys are still interested and you think that they've been helpful to you, it'd be helpful to get a letter or something of support that you're in favor of this Thrive, continue to work with Thrive.
Well, and I will say, I mean, first impressions, second impressions, third impressions, they're a great group. We need them on our side. I would encourage you to participate with Thrive. I mean, Tom,
Well, and they've changed dramatically under new leadership. I mean, it's not the West, Thrive, it's a whole new thing, and new people, and it's a dramatically different thing it's a welcome change.
Well, I think you need to bear in mind too that, you know, they're administering a lot of this stimulus money and all the money that's coming out of the federal government. But the other thing that you might want to consider is, depending on what the fate of the casino is down in Vigo County, they're going to be, if that comes to pass, there's going to be money flowing from that, and they will be instrumental in administering that money as well.
They are
I think
coming.
most of that money, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, is going to be directed toward quality of life initiatives, which is trails.
I'm on the board of directors there, and I've invited them to come to the next meeting to show what they do for available service over the county. I think last year that the total was like $314,000 they spent in Vermain County.
And we're underutilizing their program.
And we're not using them very much.
Just, it's terrible what we're not using out of that program.
We're doing our best.
We are, well, in certain places we are, but there's a number of line items
Yeah.
that's, that they provide that we're not, we're in single digits in use of it. So, we're paying good, you know, actually I think it's a very great value, but we're paying money for this and we need to be using it. And, Board of Health is gonna be starting to get involved with that a little bit more and hopefully, getting the word out as to what uses we have with Thrive or what we can use. But it's an unbelievable program and we need to be utilizing it more. And if you get a letter of support, we're sending one out today or tomorrow probably in support of that program and asking the council to fund it, so.
Well, yeah, if we need a letter of support from you all, we'll sure ask you for it. We won't hesitate for a minute. So,
But there's so many different things that they provide, and we're not using them. I mean, aging, travel, hauling people around, and taking people places, and food, and that's why I'm having them come to a meeting, actually, you know, make a presentation, what all services they have available for our county.
Yeah, they got great staff, so, yeah, we're excited about them. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good works.
Does everyone know where the new facility is for the park? Everyone been by and seen it? It's a nice place. Appreciate the Vermilion Trails. Next is the jail.
That's me. Yeah. Last night, council approved the monies for the additional appropriations for the jail. Once the bonds are sold, which we'll be looking at them, opening them on August 3rd, and hopefully everything will be in order on August 3rd, and by August 10th, we should have the funding in place for the jail. At this point, pending the bond sale, we'll be fully funded at that point. Literally broke ground this week out there. They were supposed to happen at the end of last week, but with the rainstorms, that didn't quite happen. The sheriff is in the process of moving everything, or still moving things out. You're done now?
Other than the booking and holding area that they're allowing us to use during this process, or at least till they get to that area. As of Sunday, I carried the last few things out, so.
Well, good. Everything's running as smooth as ice, right?
Actually, it's not been all that bad. I mean, we've had a few small hiccups, but, Armand really organized everything well to move us, communications-wise, electronics, 911, everything. Tuesday, and by the end of Tuesday evening, other than a couple little hiccups, we were operating. So, we're fully functional right now, just need the next thing coming up on the list about some more holding.
How many inmates did you have to move out as far as to different facilities?
All but 15%, including employees. The building has to be occupied by 15% for this type of bond that we're doing, so we'll keep about 10 or 12 inmates around. There's about 20 in there right now.
And I noticed a different, there was another, was it Greene County or?
Yeah, Greene County requires a contract, that's just what they do.
I mean, did they go to several different jails, or did
Yeah,
they?
right now, they're in Clay County, Fountain County, Warren County, Benton County, and Tipton County. And it will be out in Greene County to take the last stage of getting out of there, hopefully tomorrow morning if you guys sign this contract.
Do they all have the same rates as far as housing?
Yeah, except Tipton County. Tipton County, we're probably gonna move some of them out once we get alleviated here. I mean, they've been great. Yeah, Sheriff up there is a good friend of mine, but he's charging the highest rate that the state allows, which is $40. Everybody else is charging $37.50. So
Needs to be a better friend.
Well, he's new to the ballgame on holding inmates. That's one of the newer jails in the state. And there's a bunch of others going up new and renovating and that and all that now too. But unfortunately, we ran into the problem that some of them couldn't hold as many as they wanted because statewide, which is, but this time of the year is completely unusual. The numbers are still going up. So, a couple of the counties that have promised to hold for us, and we're not able to take as many or none at all.
One of the things we went through this, I guess it was last week, we're going through some value engineering, and hopefully we'll finish that up in the next couple of days. Basically what it's looking at is some of the things that we can change in the plans that will actually save us in the tens of thousands of dollars. That way, if we approve them anyway, that'll save us a few things that I think it's going to be probably beneficial for the county. So that's yet to be done, and otherwise we're on the road. We're on schedule. Actually a little bit ahead schedule.
To tear out of the office area too.
That,
electrical is being pulled so they can pull out one of the walls.
Mhm.
They've been working on that the last couple of days.
we're a few days ahead on that schedule, the demo section of it. And anyway, sheriff keeps a pulse on there. So
Oh, yeah,
thank
trust
you.
me, every time they go up in the attic and pull something, it affects us. But they've been really good so far about coming down and getting it fixed and back up real quick.
Mhm.
If you've
Anyway.
ever seen the attic, that's
Yeah, I was
a
up there.
nightmare. That's a horrible nightmare. So,
It's not a place I want to be in anyway. It's not a place I want to be in anyway. So.
No, but the attic's even worse.
I like it better than down below.
So how did everything come out with, originally we was gonna do it in May and we're doing it later, or is the bids and we're still on the same numbers and none of the numbers had to change?
Numbers have not changed. We actually have some savings that have been pushed into contingency. So actually our contingency is growing a little bit when our bids have gone down. Probably the same thing will happen with these changes in value engineering. And like I said, it's tens of thousands of dollars that we'll probably keep in the bottom line and put it back into contingency in case we run into some other issues. Or if we have to do something else with the jail, inmates and whatever. But we're on schedule, we're on time at this point, and we should be. We're not that far into it. So.
Hopefully have some good weather.
Well, the nice thing about it is that because of the funding thing where we got pushed out, we're not missing a beat on it. Council was able to give us 1.2 million, something like that, which kept us on schedule. It created a little dance, but we were able to get the contracts in place, and so we were able to do the work that was scheduled to do now by using that interim funding. And by the time we get to, and we're good for the interim funding through the 16th. So we're doing well.
I do want to say one thing, you can verify what I'm saying. We did have two local contractors that won winning bids, right? Kenizer was what, $300,000, $400,000, and
Majors
was $600,000 or something like that. So
Mhm.
it's good to see that at least two local contractors, benefited on that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know whether to bring it up now or in the very next one on surplus, but we've got a refrigerator and a freezer, and I think in the end we'll have another smaller refrigerator. I'd like you guys consider possibly donating it to the Indiana Sheriff's Youth Ranch. They're in bad need of that right now. Now, these are 2- and 3-year-old pieces of equipment, and 2 of them I bought out of commissaries, which is not taxpayer money. But the youth ranch is slowly but surely coming around. Now, COVID's done, DOC's involved. It's a non-for-profit organization, so everything they get is donations.
Is it under $1,000 per item?
No, it'll probably be around $2,200, $2,300 a piece.
You sure it's not under 1,000?
might be best you come up and speak. I mean, when you talk a little bit, because it's when you come up, best you come up. A lot of people.
I wish I could say, one of them is, the small one, but we'll use that throughout.
To an organization?
John,
I would think so.
do we have
The bigger unit is taxpayer money that come out of jail maintenance, but a couple of the smaller units I bought out of jail commissary, which is inmate money from them buying commissary. So that's not taxpayer money. But regardless, property still belongs to the commissioners, no matter how we got it.
there's a upper limit or a lower limit, whatever you want to call it, before we can actually donate?
Yeah, I sent you, let me grab that statute again.
I just don't recall.
Yeah.
How much was the value of it?
They're only 2-3 years old. I think the oldest unit's 3, maybe 3.5 years old, and that's one of the bigger ones. That one would have been from taxpayer funds.
I mean, how much was the value of it when you purchased it, do you remember?
Around $2,200-$2,300
Okay,
each.
so it's more of a commercial freezer?
Oh, yeah, these are commercial units
Okay.
we bought through B&B in Terre Haute.
But they're
They're True, I
used.
think, is the brand on
Yeah,
it.
you wouldn't get that out of them.
We can't get that much out of them, though.
Oh, no. No, well, if you do it in a public bid, no. Depend on how you do it, but I don't
Well,
think you're gonna
it's-
get that kind of funds.
I doubt we can
back
get
out of it.
$1,000 out of each one.
I would be surprised. In the government auctions I've been to, I would be surprised.
Where's this place at?
Clay
Is it-
County, just south of, or just north of I-70, and in fact, it's be like the second or third driveway to your left.
59.
If you guys wanna go over there one day, we can run over. I go, Department of Homeland Security Canine Training Unit is
Oh.
in there, and I train my dog through there.
What's the name of it again?
Indiana Sheriff's Youth Ranch. The two sessions that we have every year, we will continue to have one in Warren County and one over, I think, in Brown County. This is for at-risk youth, all of them are, but there's a lot of different programs. They've already held 2 settings in there. The problem we're running into is DOC is building the bunkhouses, and COVID kind of shut that down, but they're back working on it again. The walls and everything will be built modular so that they can deliver them to the location, set them up, and then that's where some of this equipment will help out too.
Yeah, are they a government agency or is it just a non-for-profit?
It's a non-for-profit.
Is it quasi-governmental?
Well, the sheriffs run it, but there's a board. Again, it's a non-for-profit, but I get introduced to the board next month, so I'll be on it too. I don't know if Les wanted people to know, but he's also donated a substantial amount of money that helped build most of the fencing around the property.
Well, I think the rules were different. If it was,
Pardon,
we
less
could
than
do an
wife, I'm sorry, I don't wanna be
interagency
correct.
transfer maybe, which
Pardon?
is, I was wondering if we'd be able to do an interagency transfer if it,
I don't know what that means. I get the gist of it, but I don't know what legal terminology that means.
anyway,
But I don't need an answer tonight, but if you guys would at least consider it, look through whatever, I don't wanna pressure you or rush you or anything.
what are you
on
gonna do
but-
with it if we don't?
Well, it'll be right now, during the process we're in right now, we're using the smaller and a medium-sized refrigerator throughout the process. Those we have to have out of there in the next couple of days, and they'll go over to the storage that we're using across the road.
You gonna use them later?
Would they be able to be used? Oh, yeah.
Are they gonna use them now?
Not over here, no, not where they're being stored.
Sure.
You have no plans for them on the new, on the new expansion?
No, on the 2 that we're using right now, we intend to bring back into the new kitchen, but that will have all walk-in freezer and refrigeration, so.
Mike, I think as long as, or at least my opinion is, as long as we can find a way to donate them, I'd have no issue to donate them to the Sheriff's Association.
Yeah, we've got time.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going anywhere, but, we'll let John
Put
give
a
them some time.
plaque
to look
on there
over it.
from Vermillion County.
I intend to do that. I intend to put stickers on them.
Yeah, I'd donate by.
One of the things, since we're...
They usually announce that too. There's people's names that donate go
On their
everything,
stuff.
yeah.
I think Les had something.
I wouldn't put you on the
I would
spot.
encourage you as commissioners to get online or look at the Indiana Sheriff's Youth Ranch. It is an amazing outreach.
I've been
That's
over there.
for at-risk kids, sheriffs, you can recommend people to attend that.
Yeah, and the sheriffs can use it for meeting space too. What it was a veterinarian owned that property. And he was retiring, wanted to sell all of it out, so there was a brand new veterinarian building up on top when you first come down the driveway. And Department of Homeland Security come in and asked to lease that for training, so that's a little bit of an income too. Well, then that training is free for all of us, for any citizen. You want to take your dog over there and get trained. It was simpler than what I thought, and it doesn't matter how good or bad you think your dog, we are the ones getting trained. The dogs already know how to do it. But anyway, so that kind of started some motions on it too, but then, we had some buildings we had to tear down. We built another building, and that was all by donated funds. So now there's a statewide canine training and certification center right up with the DHS. So more and more people starting to slowly come in, but I think a lot of the brunt has been put on retired Marion County Sheriff John Layton, kind of like overseeing the project at the beginning. A wealthy investor bought the property for us, and we've been paying him back over a period of time without interest. And then we've run lots of statewide projects to get money donated to help get the land paid for. Once we get that under our belt, the rest of it I think will move a little bit quicker. But there'll be horses, there's trails there already. I still haven't seen all the trails. I want to say there's like 25, 26 acres there, and there's 3 lakes on that. So there's plenty of boating and all kinds of stuff that they're building on the lakes. Eagle Scouts have come out and done some projects. We have one that is doing a project there now, which is a floating dock in the middle of one of the medium-sized lakes. Like I say, they've had 2 or 3 sessions there over the past year. COVID really messed up part of that, but they were still able to safely do one of them at the beginning, and the last session was a much bigger one. So the doctor's house was there. We're upgrading and renovating that, so that's meeting space. But you know, somewhere in the future, you know, I don't know if it's going to be open to the public to rent or lease or whatever, but sheriffs and their employees will be able to use that center as well for like weekend outings and such.
When you come down 59, like you going south on 59 going into.
If you're coming out of Brazil, yeah, you go south and
you come out Rio Grande, it's south of Rio Grande.
I don't know where Rio. Yeah, yes. It is just before you get to I-70.
Oh.
So if you come off the 70,
so it's
and
south
you head
of Brazil.
north, as soon as you go down through the first dip and you see all the trees, you get ready to make a left. There's a sign, but because of the trees, you won't see it until a little too late.
Okay.
But it'll take you back west and deep into the woods and kind of curve you around. But anyway, anybody wants to go and see one day, we can take a field trip. But I'm over there every other Thursday, so.
So we got a recommendation doing this, and that's all we need to do as far as getting this happening.
Well, if you're giving it to a nonprofit or a volunteer fire department, there's no restriction placed on you. The statutory restriction, the lower limit that Britton was talking about, when I reread the statute, that only applies to real estate. And I think it's probably a somewhat dated statute because it talks about real estate worth less than $1,000, which there's not going to be a lot of real estate worth less than $1,000. But there's really not a lot of guidance when we get down to property like what we're talking about tonight that's not real estate and that doesn't have a lot of value. So you're fine to give anything you want to a nonprofit. If you're going to give stuff like this away to an individual, I'd suggest to come up with some system that levels the playing field.
Yeah.
As to, you know, don't let it be open to the public and let everybody have a chance.
So do you want to put on the record as a motion that you want to do for the sheriff? For his freezers? I'll make a motion from the sheriff's recommendation to donate the 3 freezers. Is that right, Mike?
A large refrigerator and a large freezer.
A large refrigerator and a large freezer to the Indiana Youth Sheriff's Ranch.
I'll second your motion.
Discussion.
Do you have the model numbers? Serial numbers?
I can get you pictures.
I'm kidding.
Cook council on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Opposed? All right. The other thing I was going to ask you, RJ's putting together some stuff for sale. Has the sheriff's department got anything they want to put? It might be better we try to.
Some items, not a large amount, but yeah, we do have some items over in storage that need to go into the auction whenever you guys are ready. There's saws, chop saws, stuff that insurance companies never come and picked up after they paid their claims and we recovered them.
Well, that's what I think we were going to talk tonight. John, do you think the fairest way would just be a sealed bid for a lot of this stuff?
Yeah,
to
well,
advertise?
the thing I would want to avoid is on the legal issue is if you gave something away to your cousin without letting the general public have a chance to get, so there's no question that it was fair, that everybody had a chance if somebody wants something.
Yeah.
And a sealed bid process would do
work.
that, I think, yeah.
Well, because a lot of this stuff I don't think you want to put minimums on, just because I'm afraid if you do, we might be stuck with it even after we put a minimum on some of it.
Yeah.
And that's not, we want to get rid of some of this.
We'll be having a gun sale for long too, but that has to be separate from
that.
their auction.
Yeah, I sent out a countywide email. I didn't get very many responses back, but you might, I mean.
Well, and I meant to, I apologize.
Yeah, oh, no, that's
It
fine.
might be easier for me to take a picture of the lot that we put together so far, but.
Okay, yeah, I think we want to get together, and that way we don't spend a lot of money on advertising in the paper. We do it at one time, and save everybody.
We'll try to have stuff ready by the next meeting, or what would you?
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, I'll send out another email by next commissioners meeting if everybody could present what they would like advertised. So I'll send something out again.
Pretty much, other than the guns, I think we've got pretty much everything together. Since
In one.
we've gone to jail in one area.
Okay.
If that's on a 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, yeah, I think 2 weeks be substantial time for everybody to get that together.
Put it back on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, for next time, and.
What do we do with the money, if we get any, assuming? We put
John,
it
what
in
does
general
that go
fund?
to?
I
or
think
what?
it would go into general.
General?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we're going on new business.
Mm-hmm.
County ordinance number 2021-10 closing of the courthouse, July 1st, 2021.
I believe this is the last one, isn't it? Well, I think we had like 4 in a row.
Wait, do we have to, every time we close it, we have to do a notice like
Yeah.
this? Okay.
I don't want the public to think we're closing every week, but we're not. I would move to make a motion to approve county ordinance number 2021-10 by title, an ordinance closing the courthouse on July 1st, 2021.
I'll second your motion.
All in favor?
Discussion. How
All in favor?
often did this happen? This 4th time, you say?
Half day, whole day, yeah.
And it, because of the water system
Big
going in?
part
The-
of it was.
And
Yeah,
they're
there
done.
was water, internet, phones. Yeah, there was a lieu of things every time.
But they're done doing all that work, so we
They're
shouldn't
pretty
be.
close to
Yeah,
being done.
pretty much.
It'll
Yeah.
be something else now, okay.
Well, we've also, I think you might explain that you probably talked to them about getting a better way of communicating.
Yeah, the first couple times communication was pretty poor, I think Annie took the grunt of a lot of phone calls, and then I'm thankful she did, because I'm not sure I could have took every office holder calling me at the business at 12 o'clock asking when the water's going to be turned on, because I didn't have an answer for them.
Tell them to cut the phone lines first.
Cut the phone lines so we don't know, because I didn't have any answers for them. So yeah, I feel bad for Annie, and I'm glad she took all those phone calls, but I think now we got a pretty good system in place that we're notified ahead of time unless it's an emergency, because sometimes you can't help it. But did you ask for a vote, Tim?
What?
Did you ask for a vote yet?
Not
No?
yet.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What happened is here in town, I don't know if we got it very clear to you or not, but the town of Newport was doing some renovation on their water system and put some new valves in, and sometimes when they do that, they gotta shut everything down. So hopefully, with their improving their valve system, it will eliminate areas they can shut off instead of have to shut the whole thing down. So hopefully that'll be a better situation for us.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike Phelps, you might as well come back up here.
Should've just stayed up here, man.
We kind of quickly went over it already.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a copy of it, but I'm assuming you guys all have one that can be signed. Greene County has already did their last meeting, but all that is a very simple agreement. It's more like Britain likes to have. The rest of us just have a gentleman's agreement, and the reason most of us do that is if something happens in between, then that sheriff can say, hey, come get your inmates out, and there's nothing in writing. This actually kind of protects us a little bit better, but either way, in the background, sheriffs will still, hey, if we got a troubled one somewhere, we're going to deal with them. And that's the only real problem we're running into is, a couple that are mentally ill that we're clearly not going to be able to take somewhere else until we can get them at the proper facility that they should be at. And then we have a couple are just jerks. Though I know they're going to call us and tell us to come pick them back up. So, but that's part of the game. But this is a proper agreement that Greene County Commissioners wanted in place. So that's all it simply says is they're going to charge us $37.50 a day. Sheriff and I or jail commanders in the background will take care of the number, but it's going to be around 10 inmates typically. And that we're agreeing to pay $37.50 per day per inmate.
I'll make a motion that we pass interlocal government agreement between Vermillion County and Greene County regarding the transfer of inmates pursuant to IC 35-33-11 by title.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? One thing I was gonna ask you, Mike, is when we have, just to get this new jail built, and we do have
It's a
vacancies.
Renovation.
In addition.
I've been corrected, renovation in addition, but being built, structure-wise, the law structure. But my question to you is, if we, do you have plans to utilize any extra space we have, and would $37.50 be just the common rate that we would get if we house from federal is federal different?
Federal is much higher, it's $55-$60 a day per person.
Okay.
And they have to come and inspect, there has to be that outer perimeter fence that's currently in the design. I won't be the sheriff when this is done, the next
But
person.
when the jail is done, would it qualify to house federal inmates?
Yes. The difference is, they're stricter. We have an ICE holding facility in Clay County. Knox County is a federal holding facility. There's several of them throughout the state. And the feds are looking for more. So can we do it? Yes. They're usually not sending us their worst ones, but there's some tiptoeing that does go on in the background of that the public usually doesn't find out about.
But it's something that the new sheriff.
It's
the
good,
sheriff's
it's
department could
good money.
utilize
I
some.
mean, that pays for, in Clay County and Knox County, that paid for lots and lots of vehicles and equipment over the last few years.
I went up, when we went down, I went and talked down and talked to Knox County, they made a tremendous amount of money when they got that put in.
They buy their vehicles all through that,
Yeah.
and I believe they got their body cams and car cams all through that. That was $100,000 in one whack, but depends on how many, you have to promise them beds, DOC's the same way. So if all of a sudden they show up with 10 inmates, you have to move everybody and give them 10 beds of their own space. There's very limited mixing DOC and non-sentence. You can't put non-sentence people in with federal inmates at all. You can limitedly put sentenced inmates in with them as long as their inmates have a bed. So it's,
Do they ever release those into the general public or in our county?
most of them, the county jail is holding is pre-trial, so just like we're doing before they go to DOC. Once they're sentenced, they're pretty quickly put on a bus or a plane in Terre Haute and shipped out to wherever they're going in the U.S. The ones that they picked up, ICE has picked up from us, have gone to Clay County. They go from Clay County to Chicago, from Chicago, who knows where they go, usually Texas area. But their system moves quicker on getting them through trials and sentencing than the state system. That's big boys court. It's different than what you're gonna see around here. There's no playing around, there's no goofing off, well, he can probably tell you even better than I can. It moves a lot quicker. We've already had 2 come from our facility that was ours, that the feds picked up, and one of those 2 was tried and sentenced 2 weeks later. I mean, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like that.
Do we get some released into the county?
Do what?
Do we get any released into our county?
Federal inmates?
Well, ICE or
Well,
whatever.
yeah, well, if they live here, but would they just release them from the county jail? No, because they'd be coming from a federal prison, whether it's Terre Haute, Kentucky, out west somewhere, East Coast. I mean, they got federal prisons all over the nation, but the only reason I would see them coming here is if they live here. And we've got a few federal parolees that live in Vermillion County. One of them was sent back for violating here. But federal system has the same thing that state codes. Sometimes the state codes are better than federal, and we'll pick them up. But yeah, you've got federal parolees around here. You've got plenty of them in Terre Haute. But ones from out of country, usually they're providing a way back for them. If they're being released from time served, they're going back to their country. But outside of that, they keep everything pretty secretive. I mean, that's what I just told you, is the same information you all could find too. I don't know who the big names are, where they're at, or anything else. So it's pretty tight-lipped.
Thank you, Mike.
Is that it?
Okay, next we have Help Township and St. Bernice. Per Kirk passed, Fire Department. And what, Nick, you want to come up here? There was an ordinance during 2014 that commissioners deeded property over to St. Bernice Fire Department. You want to cover what you discussed that?
So back in 2014, that I believe it was 2014-006, the commissioners then deeded the property to the to the west of the firehouse, back to the St. Mary's Community Volunteer Fire Department. For whatever reason, they didn't move forward with it and change the name to St. Mary's at that time. So since we've merged with St. Bernice now, we're requesting as Help Fire and Rescue to have that property transferred to us so we can deed it over and put it in our name.
Okay, since St. Bernice Fire no longer exists, right? And
Yeah, they no longer exist in the state.
But
Kevin,
Help Township Fire Department has absorbed all their
All their assets.
liabilities and
Correct.
assets and business, basically.
Correct.
You
So-
did the deed or with the commission?
We wouldn't do the deed. What we did is by ordinance, we said to the extent that we can give it to them, we're giving it to them. And then if they want to go get a deed, we won't object to that in any way. And then they just didn't do anything after the commit. All you'd have to do is have an attorney take it upstairs and get an order from the
I've got a
circuit
meeting
court.
with Joel West scheduled for the end of the month to take care of some other matters, and this
It
would be
should be
included in
very
that if you.
easy. We just didn't have a mechanism to actually deed it because we don't own it.
Right.
We have a certificate for it, and we can say, you guys can have it to the extent you want to go get it, we won't stand in your way. And that's what we did for St. Bernice. We could just change, well, there's two ways. You could just argue that since you guys absorbed St. Bernice, that you absorbed all their rights to that property. Or we could do it, if your lawyer wanted us to, we could just execute that same ordinance over again with you guys' name in place of their name. Either
It's
way.
whatever easiest for you. Like I said, I'll meet with Joel at the end of the month.
I'd just ask him what's the
And
easiest
see.
route for him.
Okay.
One of the issues is just take out some of the, you've already taken down the structure that was on there, did you not?
The structure caught fire actually, and it was taken
It's a
down.
practice burn, right?
It was not. There is still some concrete, an old sidewalk, part of the foundation's still there. We've got some brush piled on it. We've been trying to maintain the property, but,
The county actually cleaned that property up, and I went in and cleaned it, but I believe the county footed the bill.
yeah, it's true.
But it still has some additional work to be done on
yeah, it's not a whole lot, but
The foundation is still there.
something we could handle within our department. There's plenty of members with
it.
Yeah.
Need something
all
to
kinds
do.
of equipment.
I will say, like John said, meet with the attorney, and then if we need to change it, I'm not sure we have any objections to.
Will you send that to me and Joel?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna redraft this.
I don't know that it needs done, because my thought would be since they absorbed St. Bernice, they would have absorbed all the legal rights that St. Bernice had. But if Joel wants it re-executed because he thinks it'd make it easier, I don't see why it would be a problem.
Is there a way to find a copy of the ordinance? I'm sure you guys have some
Yes,
a copy of the
yeah.
ordinance from 2014.
Yep.
There you go, mine. Somebody's.
Take that with you to Joel, that way he has that, and we'll see what he wants to do and go from there.
I think we're in agreement to transfer the properties. It's
Yeah.
just let us know if this is not gonna suffice for you, and then we'll make it right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next is Intel Leap contract.
This is a contract, from what I understand, that was supposed to be initiated at the beginning of the year, and we're just now getting around to approving it at this point.
Yeah, 'cause I think he's been allotted work he's been working on it all year.
Well, this is the website. This
Yeah.
is a little different, so
No, I mean on the website even, but I think people have called him and still.
and they're still responding.
Yeah.
I don't have, I've briefed it. I mean, it's a continuation of our last agreement, is it not?
Yeah,
With new dates.
I would move to make a motion to approve the agreement with IntelliLeap for the website maintenance statement of work.
Then further discussion is for 80 hours of maintenance.
Timmer's not second yet.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll second your motion.
Discussion now.
Can I speak? I was just trying to get some clarity so people will know what we're talking about. This thing, it says that there will be a charge of $45 an hour for content editing after the initial 80 hours has been complete. So we're getting, for $2,500, we're getting 80 hours, correct me if I'm wrong, 80 hours of,
Sounds right.
so, that's for our website, so.
And I think we talked about the hours, and I think it's close to that hours for last year anyway. And then we may exceed that this year.
You said
given
you about used the hours up last year.
We were, Tucker, yeah, we were close last year.
Well, he's
This year
never-
we may have exceeded it because we do have we may exceed it because we have new officers and everything, so there's been a lot more questions.
It's too bad we eventually can't get someone to oversee it here, someone in the courthouse who would take care of all the.
Well, that's
That is
that's
a
a
little-
bigger discussion right there.
Mhm. Okay, we got a second and we had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Drainage Board, standard operating procedures.
I'm actually gonna start putting that with the open issues each,
What?
I'm gonna start putting that in the open issues, like we do the main trials and stuff. Isn't that what you wanted written, for him to come and give an update?
Mhm.
Is it every meeting or every?
Not every meeting. They
Once
only
a
meet
month.
once a month at that, so it's once a month, right?
We're meeting every 2 months now.
Okay.
Mr. Mack, you want to come talk about this a little bit so people know what we're...
Outside, it can be discussed probably every month, because we've had issues every month that I know of. Well, about every week.
Well, seems like.
I want to say first thing, Ron Mack has been doing a good job. And he
Basically, what we were charged with,
Put a lot of time in.
Britain wanting us to come up with standard operating procedures and policies for the drainage board. And so, did some research, found one that we thought we liked, copied it from another county, basically. Just changed the name to protect the innocent and moved on with it. And the drainage board's had this for about 2 months, and all the members have reviewed it. And we think it's what we want to work with. So it's just want the commissioners to give their approval that we proceed under those rules and regulations.
I would, I've reviewed a little bit of this, but I would like to kind of keep with our practice and review this before the next meeting, then and then bring it back for the next
That's probably a
meeting.
good idea, because there's a lot
There's a
to
lot
it.
There's a lot of data. And then, on another note, I think, Ron, I seen on your, email, you have one member that's pending. Do we need to
Yeah,
approve
we
him?
need to officially appoint him.
And that's a commissioner's appointment as well?
Right.
I think it's,
Scott.
Brian Noggle, is that right?
Right, no, right.
Yeah, so I think we need to probably take
We
care
need
of
to
that.
Officially appoint him.
Can we do that now? Or just...
I would, I mean, he's been
He's been coming to the meetings.
He's been coming to the meetings unofficially.
Very contributes a lot. He's done a lot of work in the county, has a lot of knowledge, so.
Brian Noggle. I would move to make a motion to appoint Brian Noggle to the Vermillion County Drainage Board.
Second your motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's taken care of.
Appointed that, then we'll,
Before you get too far gone, everybody needs to pay attention to these things. If you don't have a copy of it, you need to read a copy of it or obtain a copy. Is this on the website?
What's that?
The
SOPs.
Drainage Board Operating Procedures, SOPs?
No, not yet, because we haven't
We haven't
approved it yet.
Do you have all access to your site and you can edit and put
Let's-
stuff on it, right?
Let's put this as a draft on there for people to see. And the reason why you need to pay attention to this is because there's going to be some costs involved with this. It also, some decision-making gets done through this, and whenever you're transferring property or you're wanting to do something that you have a problem with. So you need to, this is not just a document for the board to operate by, it's a document which will also dictate on how they're going to conduct themselves whenever there is a drainage issue, whether it's a legal drain or whether it's a cross property line drain or drainage issue. So I'm just telling you, make sure you read it and make sure you make your comments if you're going to, there's fees involved with this too, or potentially has fees with it anyway. So make sure that you pay attention to this. This is just not a pass by. It affects you. It will affect you. Also, if there's any type of zoning change or housing being built or whatever, it's gonna go, eventually where this is headed, it's gonna go to area planning for approval, that it conforms to their plan. It's gonna go to drainage board to make sure that there's no drainage issues with it. It's gonna go to health board to make sure that septic and or sewers are available to it. And the water well and whatever the water supply is gonna be checked off. And then it's gonna finally come up to the commissioners after it goes through those to get approved. So it's not gonna be the process that you've been used to, like, oh, I want to build something, you can go do it, and then you come back and say, I build it, so, or the assessor finds it later on.
The whole
Right,
thing-
this is phase one. Phase one.
So we'd encourage people, sorry, Tim, I didn't mean to
Pay attention.
cut you off. So if people want to get a copy of this, they can go to the surveyor or the auditor's office, which
Yeah. I'll
website,
try-
any of the three? Okay.
I'll try to get it uploaded tomorrow.
The whole
Thank
thing,
you.
what we're trying to do, especially with the ordinance and things that are gonna be passed, we believe that it's good government to inform those involved or make it a time of feedback time that people can actually say, I read it, I don't like it, you know? You can come back next meeting. If you don't like this, come back next meeting. Tell us you don't like it, you know, but we make it open for discussion. I think we do good in that manner of making government accessible and listen to the feedback of the people, because I think it's very important. And a lot of times you hear about government, they come in and just pass it. And people say, I didn't know what happened. Well, that's bad government. And people need to be informed. So that's what we're trying to do. We will not pass ordinance on first reading, correct? We will-
Unless it's an emergency.
Unless it's an
It's
emergency.
So if you bring something in here and want to pass first night, it's going, ain't gonna happen, isn't gonna happen. But we do that to inform people, let people know more what's going on. So I think it's a good thing.
So I can make this available in the auditor's office then?
Mhm.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you'll have it online in a couple days.
I'll do my best to get it loaded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
So could you give us any update on the Cayuga situation, what you think that's going with that?
That drainage issue's been going on 20 years or better. So we're at the point now where we have discovered that the county can initiate an engineering plan and possibly construct a regulated drain inside the city limits of Cayuga. But the first step is they have to make a formal request.
Okay.
And so I went to the town board meeting last week, and when I left there, they were to send me a letter, all those signatures of the town board requesting that the county take on the responsibility of initiating the study, and if the drainage project comes to fruit, it will be a county regulated drain.
Okay. And you have not received that letter yet?
Have not received that letter. Unfortunately, one of the board members passed away about 30 minutes after the town board meeting the other night, so things are kind of in limbo right now.
Thank you.
RQAW bill.
Is this one been paid?
A lot of papers there.
Is he paid or?
Okay, getting close.
Did I see this before?
Yeah, it came in your packet.
When did I get the packet? It's Friday? Okay. I don't remember seeing
This $12,000, $12,064.78.
it. The percentages look appropriate.
They're almost paid out, ain't they?
No, they still have the construction administration to do.
That was like $2,000 a month, I wonder, it was a real small fee.
Let's see, they're 4% complete, 4.5% complete for 159,000. So their job is pretty easy going in on out. It's a matter, right now is a concentration. They'll get the approvals coming in from the contractors, the shop drawings and any changes of equipment be requested, and they will be, there will be RFIs or requests for information. This will be their busier time right now, and then it will even out where they won't have much to do unless there's a change order involved or something to that effect. So their contract will be, this 4% probably next month will probably be closer to 50-60% of that total budget for them anyway.
All right, so we need an approval for the $12,064. I'll make a motion to approve RQAW's invoice of $12,064.78.
I'll second your motion.
Discussion. So what is the total we're showing that we paid them on this? Sometime this, got $854,000 here.
Total bill is $675,469.51.
I
Total
thought we
bill.
paid more than that on that. We paid more than that on there. For some reason, that don't sound right, does it?
Well,
I'm not disputing that I am. I'm just making a reference to this, but
there may have been additional money spent because of their contract goes back to what, 2017 or?
I think they've been asked to draw 2 or 3 times, and I think every time they have, it's an additional. That might be what you're referring to.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you're probably right, but it's not. By the time it got to the point that we were going to do this project,
Yeah.
I think it's correct. And then there may be additional funds before this project.
so this is a separate, this is not really from RQEW, it's for RTM consultants that they hired.
RQAW invoices us, but they pay that,
Yeah,
participate
yeah.
in that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's for a subcontractor. I think what it was for. Consulting. Variance filing fees. On the other hand, a question about the jail, going back, if I may interrupt. How'd that work out with the power company about Duke moving those power poles?
They're been ordered to move. They're going to just move them to the inside of the right of way on the highway side. Stay with their 63.
Did they come up with a date to do that so it don't mess us up with your?
I don't have the date. I'll have to check. They've been it's been requested, but I've not heard a date in which Duke will actually perform the work.
So is Gorman coordinating that part of it?
Yes.
Okay, we got discussion, right, where we're at? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we do?
RQAW.
Oh, well, I thought we already, okay,
He's
yes.
talking about something else.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye. Opposed? Pay the bill. Community crossing bids.
We received 2 bids. Let's see, where's it at?
I don't think it's in our pack. I think it's in our email.
I don't know if I have the dollar amount here. Yeah.
The most recent one would have been from Kevin Petrick, because he had a recommendation in an email.
Anyway, we received 2 bids. This is community crossings. What that is there's a matching fund of 300 some odd thousand. The state came in just under $1 million. We requested close to $1 million worth of work as what was estimated in the different across the county. Almost all of it, I think, was paving, was it not?
Yeah.
I know District 1 was. This was based off the work that they had done last year as far as the 5-year plan is concerned. That'll probably change next year. But anyway, we went out for bids for that. We received 2 bids, one from Reith Riley and one from Milestone, which is Wabash Valley. The recommendation from the engineer from our Clark Deeds is to go with Reith Riley at a cost of.
Still finding the page.
Okay. Anticipation here.
Yeah, $1,088,000.
Go ahead and announce it. There's no reason for me. Go ahead and announce it.
$1,088,034.
Okay. That was the lowest and most responsible bid that we've received, and so I make a motion at this point to approve the bid be awarded to Reith Riley, subject to the receipt of funding from the state.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion. I just want to say something that what's good about this is we had approved to the council $333,000 match money for the $1.33 million grant. And this roughly comes in $212,000 or $250,000, roughly $250,000, right? Less than what we bid on, and we're still getting all the work done that we asked for.
The work we requested, yeah. Next year, we want to make sure we ask for more work to be done.
Just in
Well,
case it does come in.
What we got to do is when we put these out, we get contractors' estimates based on what we want to do, and that's what we did. It was all based on contractors' estimates when we turned them in. When we turned them in, then the bids came in lower, and so that's quite a bit of savings. And the money that we don't use, that $333,000, which we got appropriated this year from the council, we're not going to use that much of it. We might be losing 250, 260, 260,000. So there will be an excess there that can roll over into next year. So it really reduces that liability.
But we don't get the state funding either. The straight state funding will be reduced also.
It will be reduced, but we're still doing a total project for less cost.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm saying there's money that's going to roll back into the funds because
The
we're not
county
using.
monies will.
Yeah.
The state will not. State funding won't. We lose
I'm
it.
talking about funding that we got $333,000 approved from the council. I'm not going to use all that money this year. I might use 260, 270, so that the excess will roll over the next year, which will reduce the liability if you're trying to fund $333,000. So anyway, we're getting it done for less money. That's the big thing. And what all will they do during this process? Will they do any inspections on the?
Yeah, the bids are out, and once they start their work, then Clark Dietz will be inspecting the work as well.
And what did that
Their
cost us
reports.
roughly for the service of them overseeing that?
5,200 maybe?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall the.
But it was a good investment. It was a good investment to have someone professional oversee it and took us out of it.
Yeah, we're not done with. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good deal. Okay.
We'll have somebody actually overseeing this at this
Yeah.
time. So.
Okay. Anybody else got anything before we open up for new business here, or did we pass that?
What?
You guys get any? Huh?
I think you're on public comment.
Okay. I know that.
Well, wait a minute. Clinton Library Board. Were you able to talk to Clinton about
No,
that?
it was not.
Okay.
I will put that on the next meeting to make sure that we bring that, and I do apologize on that one.
We did receive our first briefing from IntelliLeap and the documents on the cybersecurity. Most of that we can't release because it's a security issue. Imagine that. We're still going through that. What it basically, in a nutshell, what it says is that on a level 1 basis, the county is doing fairly well. We're into 85% completion of level 1 security, which is pretty low level, but it still says that we're doing reasonably well. Where we're not doing reasonably well, and we're down only like at 15%, is a level 2. There's like 5 levels here. Level 2 is documented policies and follow through with that, and the transfer of information between individuals, and the passwords, and how the county conducts itself and its work. On the level 2 basis, we're not doing so well, and so that's something that we're going to be looking at and tightening that up, and before we ever even think about going to level 3 on the security issues here. So that's basically where we're at. We're waiting to get some costs back as to what it would take to get us to level 2, or whether we want to try to do that ourselves. Right now we don't have an IT person except for our sheriff. He gets to do triple duty or whatever it is, and move everybody around. We appreciate everything that you've done. We wouldn't be anywhere close to even completing a level 1 if it wasn't for Mike. So that's where we're at this point. We'll be reviewing the reports and trying to get us up back to the completion of level 1 at either a 99% or something close to 100% of that level 1 security levels. These are all based on federal guidelines of what they dictate as to what how good your security is and how well you write your policies and how well your policies are being implemented. That's really when section level 2 gets started involved. And so we have some work to do. Bridge number 90, the bid documents were supposed to be done today. They're not done yet. I think we're going to receive those by Friday. And it's a question of what we want to do with Bridge 90. If we wait another, that puts us off a week and a half or 2 weeks. We should be going out for bids tomorrow for Bridge 90. That will affect our end date of October 15th if we don't act on it.
Bridge 90 is?
Spring Creek.
1450, yeah, north.
There's some additional issues with it that we're still dealing with and have to make sure. The reason why it's not here is that we've got to make sure that those things are included in the project and not trying to be taken care of in the field. So, do we want to wait till our next meeting, or do we want to go to a special meeting, or do we want to what?
I don't have any issues proceeding with, what documents they have now. I know they're still not complete yet on a few of those. Unless you guys want to do a special meeting, I'm more than happy to come to a special meeting. But I'm with you. I don't want to push that deadline farther because we worked real hard to try to get that up so we could complete it.
The problem with going past October 15th, the weather after that date starts becoming real iffy.
It's the best time of year to work on a bridge, August and September.
Yeah, and this one's going to be, we have to keep it live too. It's not a bridge that we take out and close the road and put one in, so.
I'm in agreement with whatever you guys.
But we can ask them to go out for bid, but we can do that actually tonight, but we'll be doing it without reading the bid documents if we do it. I didn't receive them by the time I left for this meeting, so.
Yeah, they just sent them prior to.
Did you see?
Yeah,
it?
I've seen
something. It was
it was sent. I don't know if it was like 5:30 or 5:45. They got them sent out.
Yeah, well, they didn't come across my email. Even if they would have, I wouldn't have had any chance.
But if it's urgent to get it done, I think we need to look at it a little differently.
I'm all right approving them pending unless you see something tonight when you review them at home. I mean, we could wait till tomorrow morning.
You want to leave it to my discretion unless you have changes now.
No, I mean, I reviewed them, but like I said, I would be all right with approving it, making a motion to approve it pending any discrepancies you might see tonight, and then getting with the auditor tomorrow.
Okay.
Or Clark Dietz, whichever one we want to.
Well, it'll probably be the next day.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Or whatever that may be. I mean, that saves us, a week or whatever.
You need to make a motion on this.
I think that was my motion.
And I think you should second this one if you're wanting to approval it or not.
Discussion.
I'm favorable toward that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Well, that's
Okay.
better than I thought. We received, tomorrow we got the Pacer. This is kind of a unique program that we're doing tomorrow. We're going to be using some drone technology to rate our roads. Tim and some volunteers back 3 or 4 years ago
5 years ago.
went out. Part of the program for Pacer is to rate your roads. And in order for us to be able to get these monies, like the crossroad grants we were just talking about tonight, the $1 million+ that are going to be spent, in order to get those, we had to have that ratings put in there. And so it was a tremendous effort put out forth by Tim and others who went out and actually got this done in a matter of a few weeks. We're trying to take this to the next level. We've got a base of what they've been able to present before, and so part of this next level is actually using drone technology. We'll be flying about 300 feet off the ground and using some highly sophisticated survey equipment that's mounted on the drone itself, and some programming that it's the capacity of this programming is just millions and millions and millions of data points. And we should be able to, what we're hoping to see from this is that we'll be able to actually fly these and then do the ratings from inside our office at that point. And then to have a picture that we can go back the next year, or actually we won't do it every year, but hopefully we'll get on a program of every 2 years and on primary roads and every 4 years on secondary roads, and go back and do these again, and we can see, overlay the differences that we see in these roads. What that will do is potentially give us what takes months and months and months to do, potentially gets done in just a matter of a week. And then have a very good record of what we've got and what deterioration or what improvements we see as we go through this. It's not being done, anyway, it doesn't appear to be being done, period. We've asked LTAP. LTAP wanted to come down and get to it with the research people, but they're a little bit too short of a time frame with vacations and everything going on. Thrive has got a PACER group that will come up, and they're going to be here tomorrow also to go through this. It's a trial run. We'll see how it works and see what we might want to change on it, and then we'll put together a cost on this to see if we can't get this PACER program implemented for the whole county if it does prove out to be a good deal.
This is the first time it's been done, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're
on the cutting edge here. But where this is going is that by rating our roads, and where we're going to take this with the county is that we're going to rate these roads, and then with these road ratings, we'll be able to say and prioritize these roads, just like we do with the bridges, what needs to be done, and where does it need to be done at, and what dollars do we have to spend on it. So if you call in and you say, well, my road should have been done last year, it's tearing apart, we can tell you where you fall on that schedule of priorities with the county and with the funding that we've got. And then they'll have a basis behind it. It won't be just by gosh, by golly feel. And along with that, though, we're hoping to add to this program, if it works out, we'll be able to see signs on here too and where they're at, and actually even measure by federal guidelines. Those signs are supposed to be placed in a certain spot on the road, so much off the road and so high and whatever. We'll actually be able to measure those if we wanted to. I don't know if we'll carry the program that far. But then we'll also be putting the culverts in, so our drainage people, our drainage board will be using this as well. So not only when we go through there, we'll be able to actually get the orientation of those and be able to click on and actually get the culvert information. The thickness, the type of culvert, the condition of the culvert, and if we carry this to the next level, we'll actually have pictures of those culverts of what's going on with them. And so there'll be a historical picture of this every year, and we'll be able to justify why we're wanting to do something or why we shouldn't be doing something. Or maybe we have to close the road just because we don't have funding, but we'll have a reason why we're going to be doing these things instead of it just being a guess.
You got a company that's donating something there, ain't it, to see?
Yeah, Tennessee Surveying, they do quite a bit of surveying around the area, but Barry he's spent years developing this. He's gone and done talks on this to a lot of different universities in the area and some of the national magazines. He's very, very knowledgeable. He's a good friend of mine. You're not the only one that have friends, Mike. He's a good friend of mine too, and he's just a top-notch individual. And this program here, this is a test run, and he's going to put this in for us. So we'll see how it comes out, and then we'll see what the costs are, and then we'll revisit it at a later date, in a couple of weeks maybe.
Okay, we're going to open this for public comment. If you limit your comment to maybe 10 minutes at the most, but if someone wants to speak, you're free to come up here and you come to the podium and state your name and what you're here to speak about.
My name is Chris Fate. I won't take up much of your guys' time. I do have a few letters concerning wind turbines. Yeah. I don't know if you guys want me to pass them. I got 3 copies. So. Thank you. PATE. And one's for my neighbor that couldn't be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I also have some supporting documents from a cardiologist. Obviously, it's a big deal for me. Printed on the wrong paper, but hey, you guys want to take a piece of that? There's only 1 copy. There's 3 different documents in there. If you guys would like to review those, I'd appreciate it.
This is for us, or are you taking this back? Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave in the auditor's office, maybe we can review them.
Where do you live at?
Me?
Yeah.
And Dan.
Where at?
41 West, 700 South.
And, Zach, where they live?
And Rono. About 2 miles south of me as the crow flies.
Is that needed, did they approve the money for that? Okay. We'll do it after.
Might want to put your phone numbers on here too. I always like to.
Yeah, my phone number is 765-505-1208.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Travis Newman, speaking on behalf of myself. This paper won't go. So, I'll be quick too, I won't take forever. But, a couple things, I'm glad to see the trails proceeding, that was nice, they had a grand opening, it would have been nice to be able to attend it, but I couldn't. River race, I heard something about that in the meeting, are we going ahead with that?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, we're gonna put that on. There'll be a river race, it's boats and canoes, and it'll be September the 4th, starting at noon at Montezuma Bridge, going to the Clinton Bridge. We're doing a award for Ed McGee Award. Ed McGee was over the boat club for 40-some years, and Ed McGee had the Bass Pro Shop down there, and he passed away. So the top award for fastest boat is going to be Ed McGee Award. Have first place and second place for canoes and kayaks, and then we're also going to, I'm looking at for doing it also with John boats or rowboats too, so everybody can do it. We all want people to come out and just float the river. You know, it's a great experience. If you sit there and don't do nothing, it'll take you 4 hours to float it. If you want to row real fast, you can do it 2 hours. You know,
So is there entry fee, this is all fundraiser for the humane shelter?
Yeah, I'm putting up the problem we've had with it all along is getting the insurance, and I found the insurance, and I'm going to personally take care of the insurance issue. But there'll be a $10 charge for everyone, and then everything we make over that will go to the Park Birmingham Humane Shelter. So it's a nice community event. You'll hear a whole lot about it here for long because we're getting ready to start putting it out there. So I was going to talk about it, but I'm just doing it now.
I was curious, are you working with Park County on it since you're you're putting in there? And
The other good thing about it is
benefit the park
it's going to be a rescue event also going on that day with the city of Clinton on the boats that run the river. They got a river boat. Perrysville's got one. Mark Hare might help me out, and possibly Park County. But last time we tried to do this, Park County came out and helped and did halfway down, and then Clinton City came up halfway. So it's also going to be a river exercise that day for emergency management. And I think Mark Hare can say that we've already got a plan devised, right, Mark? That's already been.
We are finalizing the plan on Monday night at a meeting.
Okay.
And Perrysville and Montezuma will be at that meeting. When the race happens, they will be there with their boats, train together. There is a tech level swiftwater rescue class going to be taught
Good.
in the near future, and this is part of training them to send people to it to fill the seats. City of Clinton's paying for it.
Yeah. That's really good.
Okay. Other couple things I had a question about. I didn't see the health department here, and they're normally here giving you guys an update on something. Did I miss that part?
We read that at the beginning.
Very beginning. Okay, I was a few minutes late. All right. I was just curious. Another thing, a couple meetings ago, you guys had someone came and gave you some information on the vaccine about
A resolution?
Yeah.
passing a motion on that. Just wondered if you guys had reviewed that anymore.
We have not
Other counties have been doing it.
addressed
something-
that.
We haven't
Yeah.
addressed it, I reviewed
Right.
it, I don't know if the other commissioners have reviewed the resolution. He'd sent us several different ones and even a recommendation for one, so.
Okay.
I think.
We haven't really discussed that.
I've read it, but I've not carried the ball any further.
Okay.
It hasn't went, we haven't made a decision on it. We probably need to think about that again here in the future, I don't know. Or is it something?
You know, you got that, and you got the 2A one still sitting out there too.
Okay. Then going into the other issue is, I'll go ahead and give you guys a copy. There's a petition these are blank copies of the petition on, for the wind ordinance. And there are 6 points on there. I'll give one to you because you can review that because all those points are based off of ordinances in Indiana. Those all came from Indiana ordinances and nothing that's not been tried and tested. And we'd like for you all to consider that when the APC works on their ordinance.
Have you took it to the APC, the zoning?
I have not, but I can take the Thursday night to them.
Where's the next meeting with the?
Thursday night.
Next Thursday.
If I understand this process that we're going to be going through, they're going to be drafting an ordinance, whatever may be in it. They'll be presenting that eventually to the commissioners for review. We'll read it and see what's in it, and then we'll waylay it till the next meeting anyway. And then there'll be a vote, and from our understanding, it's an up or down vote or we send it back with comment. But we won't be changing anything that's on it except for comments, and it goes back to them. You may have to help me with this, John, but once it goes back to them, they have so many days to review 45 days.
I forget the exact number, I can look it up, but yeah, it's a process where they send something to you guys. If you don't approve it, you can send it back to them with what your recommendation is. Then they have so many days to go over it again and hold another meeting, and then they can send it back to you. And it finally, the way the process is weighed out, the advantage is always to the commissioners. You guys can force it to go the way you want it, but it has to go through that back and forth process of several days with each board.
So this is not going to be a quick resolution, is what I'm basically getting at. It'll be coming in front of us. I would have my doubts that it would pass on the first time without some type of comment
Right.
back. Maybe it will. I don't know.
That's kind of what I was wanting to ask, is what can people do to help the whole process move smoother from the APC to you to an ordinance in place?
Well, it's all in the APC at this point.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot for us to do until we see a final draft. I mean, we can read and read and read, but it's already changed its face a few times in the APC. So I think, on my part, I'm just listening to what everybody has to say and doing some reading of information that people provide me. But right now, I don't have anything to gauge it against at this point.
Okay.
I would recommend, and anybody that's got comments pro or against any type of ordinance to attend the meetings. I thought the idea was to send them to the members, but I kind of heard that they don't accept, emails or things at times. So I would recommend everybody go to those meetings or.
There's not a lot of input during the process of the meeting. At the end, they open it up for comments.
Well, I was meaning like these written, comments and stuff, these papers, hand them to them and let them, see that, because I think the more they hear from the public, the better.
You got to realize the APC is a conglomeration of different people. It's not everybody appointed by the commissioners. It's people from the commissioners, from the council,
School board,
from school, and
municipalities.
from the largest city in the county. That is your representation there. And the people that got elected to that or appointed to that board are from your elected officials, and it goes across the board here. So you need to be talking to your council members, the people that sit on the APC, and the people that appointed them. They're the ones that's drafting this information here. Yeah, the buck stops here when it finally gets to the final end, but they're doing the heavy lifting here. And what comes out of there is supposed to be a representation of what this county wants. So make sure that you are talking to look at who belongs to the APC and make sure that you're using your voice and your votes to do this.
To that point, that we kind of get that same thing from the APC. Go talk to your commissioners.
We're listening, but we don't have anything to judge it against.
Right.
We're not drafting. We're not putting a single number on that document at this point.
Correct. So the APC, you video these. Is there any way that we can get video turned on for APC meetings? Since it's a public meeting.
Well, that's up to them. That's up to them how they conduct their meeting. Again, the commissioners don't run the APC. We don't run their meetings. Whoever they hire for director is up to them.
Okay.
Their budget's up to them. The only thing is, that we have is an appointment to that board, or a couple appointments to that board. We do voice our opinions through them. Until it comes back to us, though, what goes in that document is up to them.
But you have a right to say what you want to say here tonight. If you want to tell us what you think or whatever, you have that right to do that, too.
I just want to make sure you understand.
Okay, well, I went all the town halls, so I think I made it kind of clear. So, I don't think, and I was gonna ask you, what, after 3 town halls, I know you all attended some of them, what's the county looking like as far as, did anybody?
I'm
do
reserving comment at
analysis
this
of those?
point. I'm still in taking in information.
I just want to say this one thing. I got a call from someone in New Jersey talking about the situation, and I got a call from someone living in the east side of the state, and they congratulated us for what we did to make not decision making, but to inform the public. A lot of times they don't have meetings like we had 3 meetings in the county, one north, one south, one in the middle, to inform the people, and the people had a right to say yes or no. They had a right to voice their concern, and I think it's commendable what we as a government entity has done, is to try to let people have their voice in this. And so a lot of times it's not, you don't have a voice. Sometimes they pass stuff in government and counties, and by the time it comes out, people say, I didn't know it was even there. We are trying to make it open to everybody, and I think that's the way to do it. So
I think a lot of people are concerned wanting to get this ordinance in place before the state does something like
Well, the
that
state will
House
always
bill.
override us, though. It doesn't matter what we do if the state decides to act on it. Now, that's one thing you gotta be aware of also, that this wind ordinance, House Bill 1381, passed the House of Representatives, and our representative, Alan Morrison, it came out of his committee and he voted for it. And whether you like wind or don't like wind, or whatever the case may be, it was a local issue. And what he did, and what that bill did, was put it in front of the legislature to dictate what our area plan was gonna have. Regardless of whether you like it or don't like it, they were gonna tell us what it was for that one item. It was an industry-driven bill. And it went all the way up to the Senate, and at the Senate, it came within a half vote of passing. And don't be surprised, it'll be there next year. Maybe it'll be tweaked a little bit, but that bill, I bet you bottom dollar that it'll be there next year.
So the lesson is contact your state representatives.
And or change them.
To know how, and change them, and or change them. Correct.
change them.
Yeah, I think changing might be the better term for some of them.
So we're all in agreement that local control for zoning and land use is a better thing than having the
Unless
state
you,
tell us.
on the other side,
Yeah, unless you're in the industry, then you're all for, telling us
Right.
we're for
But-
local, and
right.
then they're not,
But the other thing, that regardless of what, I understand what Brett was saying, but if you have an ordinance in place and you have your regulations set, it's gonna be much harder for them to mess with you.
And that's what I was just trying to help people
Because this year, when they
understand
came
the
out with that
process and get the-
1381 bill, they was making exceptions to the people already had, the counties already had a bill, already had an ordinance passed. So I think what we're doing here, we're making a decision before that comes along. The other thing that Britton has brought up many times in conversation with him is we're running in a situation where a company is coming in to do something or try to do something, whereas if the zoning was already there in place, correct me if I'm wrong, Britton, we should already have this set up in our county. Of course, that's a new type of a business in a way. But what I'm saying is, when companies look at our county, they should be able to look and say, I can do that there, and all the questions are answered. We should have already had that in place, right? And it would have took care of all this. But I will tell you this much: 4 years ago or 5, I talked to the wind people, and I was told, because this came up, this stuff was coming, and it was coming to the counties, and I was told by a very well-known official in the wind industry that they would not come to Vermillion County because we didn't have enough wind. I dropped that, I let it go. I wasn't going to deal with it no more, because that was what I heard, and all of a sudden it came up. So we could have dealt with it years ago, but I am all for, like Britton said, if we had the zoning in place, all the companies come here, they already know where it's zoned and know where they can build. So we don't have that right now.
Cool. We'd just like to see that process work out. Thank you.
since we're on the topic of wind, my name's Neil Austin. I live in Warren County. I actually live in the wind farm up there. Actively opposed it since we found out about it in July 2016. First off, I'd like to commend you guys for the way you're running the county. It's a breath of fresh air to see.
Thank you.
So much was hidden from the people of Warren County. There was 70 and 80-year residents of Tab that had no idea the wind was coming in. We have emails that were hidden from the public clear back to 2009 when they actually started working on it. Nobody in the county even knew about it publicly until July of 2016. So to see the openness and the transparency, that's, whether it goes for or against whatever, that's great, that's outstanding. I've watched the videos online. Obviously there's pretty strong feelings either way, which it is an emotional issue. I can tell you that it does tear the fabric of the community apart. You get a small factor of your community that wants them. You get a large majority that doesn't want them and don't have enough property to really argue the point per se. And it gets ugly. It gets personal. It gets to levels that people would not have thought their neighbors could go to. It really negatively affects the county overall. As far as financial aspects, we've seen 2 roads get repaved, and we've got 3 or 4 more roads that got a little bit of new gravel. I mean, when they came in, they were trying to promise that the teachers would get higher pay. Well, they can't do that. The state sets that. They were trying to say that the schools would get all kinds of added donations and stuff. And they have gotten a little bit, but is it major? Is it a groundswell of change for the kids? Haven't seen any change. My wife works in the school there in Warren County, so, and as a result of the opposition and the unwanted education in this that I got, I stepped up and got on the Board of Zoning Appeals up there because we had 2 people that stood up for us, and they were literally in the meeting told to be quiet and stop bringing up stuff. So to see that kind of attitude drove me to step up when there was the opportunity. I can tell you that the wind company will tell you that these things are quiet. They are not. I have 2 a half mile north of my house, and we lived there for 4.5 years before they were turned on. And our house is built pretty tight. We can't hear a 40-mile-an-hour wind coming across the prairie in the winter. I mean, the only way you know the wind's blowing is if you look out and you see a tree moving. But I can tell you when the blades pass the tower on the turbine, because I can feel the pulsing in the wall. I can hear the blades turn when I'm outside. I can hear the bearing noise. I can hear the bearings of the gimbals as they're turning, and it's just constant. All day, every day, all night, every night. I have friends who, when the red lights flash, that affects them. They don't sleep well. It's a lot more of an impact than I, who work in factories and have for 25 years, would have ever thought this would have affected me. I don't sleep during the day very much. I'm up every 2 to 3 hours. My wife doesn't sleep at night. My kids don't sleep right. And we never had this issue before they were turned on. You'll hear a lot of, well, that's just people talking. It's just hyperbole. It's just people reading stuff on the internet and projecting. And that's, for some people, that may be true. But I have a lot of very close friends up there that are negatively affected by it. It's been an unwanted education and an unwanted experience. It's just something that really needs to be weighed out. Ours are 500 feet to the tip of the tallest blade. I know you guys are being approached about possibly 700 footers or something like that, which is enormous. And driving through South Dakota, we actually saw some of those, and they're monstrous. Out there in South Dakota, the closest house would be 1.5 miles away from them. You know, it's a different environment than we have here, where we may not have a high population density, but it's not really that spread out. It's all been played to be a boon for the county and finances and great for people that live there. And if it's so great, then my question would be, why is the one guy who got over 2/3 of the project on his property, why did he move out of the project area just before they started building? I'm just, you know, it's just a speculative comment on my part there, but any input that I might be able to give you guys, if I can answer any questions. I brought my friend Aaron Senesac. He was pretty instrumental in the process too. We fought as hard as we could, educated ourselves, made a lot of contacts. Ted Hartke over in Vermilion County, Illinois, he was the county commissioner. He actually voted for them to come in. He wanted them in the county. And then he had to sell his house because him and his wife and kids couldn't sleep, started having health issues. And the two turbines that affected him the most were 2,640 feet away from his house. The one that was 1,500 feet away from his house didn't bother him.
Do you think your property values have been affected by that? Do you think your house can sell? I mean, that's a question I have.
Well, in this current market, which everybody knows housing is going ridiculously high,
Yeah.
I think that's a fluke that is going to burst. Right now, I could probably sell my house for just a little more than what I actually bought it for, but I've also been doing a lot of upgrades to it. I do know of houses that have been for sale out there that have been for sale for quite a while because nobody wants to buy them because they're too close to the turbines. I have a friend who, when he was out there looking at a house that he just bought last December, every time he would go out for a showing, the wind company shut the turbines off. And then after he bought the house, they've been on ever since. And he was like, if I'd have known they were this bad, I wouldn't have bought the house. I mean, you're stuck now, so.
So how many do they have up there in the county, you know?
149 were built in Warren County, one was built in Benton County as part of the same project. We've been approached by Invenergy to possibly do another phase on the northeast portion of the county. Don't know how that's going to go, but I know there's a lot more opposition to it now. So, yeah, it's going to be another fight. But anyway, I really wanted to commend you guys again for being so transparent and open about it. And the way you guys did your meetings was incredible. I mean, Aaron and I, this is so out of what we're used to dealing with. I mean, so thank you very much for your time. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything that I can answer, please send them my way.
Thank you.
Britton, you wanted to know about the timeline. The APC would certify a proposed ordinance to the commissioners. And this is under section 606 of local planning and zoning. You guys would have the choice. You could adopt it. If you adopt it, it takes effect like any other ordinance. You can reject it or amend it. If it's rejected or amended, it goes back to the APC, and then they get another 45 days to consider that, and they can either agree to your proposed amendments or they can send you another proposal. Ultimately, at that point, whether they agree or not, it comes back to the commissioners, and then you guys have a 45-day window to confirm your amendment. If you do that, then it takes effect. So ultimately, the hand would be to the commissioners to
So John, if we send something back with comments and changes, and they decide to say, you know what, we're not agreeing to these, and then they send it to us, do we at that point get to just say, no, we're not, we're going back to what we had written?
You can say, we're going to affirm the amendment that we sent
And
you guys.
then we can
whether
pass
you-
it.
Yes.
So really, it's after that 45 days, then it's up to us.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the initial, how much time do they have?
To initially create an ordinance and send it to you guys, they have unlimited time.
Right.
When it comes to you guys, you've got 4 things you can do. You can adopt it, in which case it takes effect like any other ordinance.
Let's
Go ahead.
right there. We touched on something a while back about the solar ordinance, and I think that you can clarify
Well, that had to be unanimous.
That's what I'm
and it
saying. I want to go back and talk about that and make that, explain that. If an ordinance comes before us and it's not passed by all three of us, then it has to go to a second reading. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it can be
With some
passed.
There's two exceptions to that, but yes.
So that's what happened on the solar ordinance. Someone said we repealed it. It was not passed the first time by unanimous decision.
And it never went
And
for a second vote.
So that's why it's been kicked back. It's not saying we're against solar, it was because it was not done.
Parliamentary procedures.
Yeah.
As of the last APC meeting, we've never seen that ordinance that came back.
It hasn't come back to you yet.
Oh, okay.
It's about 2 days off right now.
But I mean, that's something we need to send back as
Yeah.
well, as the ordinances with our recommended changes.
It's 2 days that it's going to get reviewed by the commissioners again.
You will see it.
So at that point, you can hold additional hearings if you want to hold additional hearings. If you hold additional hearings, there's a process for doing that. If you reject it and say, no, we're not going to approve this ordinance, or you amend it and say, here's how we think it should read, then it goes back to the APC. They have a 45-day window to hold their meetings and tell you guys whether they agree or disagree with you. Then it comes back to you guys again, and you have a 45-day window. You can affirm, like if you said, hey, here's how I want to amend it, and they say, no, that's a terrible idea, you can still say, no, we're going to affirm what we wanted to do. If you do nothing, it would die. If you made a recommended change and then they sent it back to you and you did nothing, it would die at the end of that 45-day window. But otherwise, you have 45 days that you can do basically what you want to do with it.
And the procedure starts over at the end of 45 days?
At the end of 45 days, it would just die if that were the situation, yeah, and then they'd have to once again certify a proposal to you guys. So, sorry to interrupt, I wanted to answer their question.
Thank you.
You are.
Hello, my name is Aaron Senesak. I'm also speaking against the wind companies. My background is negotiating contracts for a major university. When I enter into negotiations, my goal is to make it the toughest negotiation that company has ever encountered. What I witnessed in Warren County was the wind companies came in. I've read the contracts cover to cover and the amendments. There was very little attempt to negotiate against them. So my two pieces of advice are make that if you get into a corner and you have to take this, my advice would be to negotiate to your absolute toughest ability. Don't take anything for face value. Include everything that could ever be in a future amendment into the front scope of work, whether it be, I witnessed one of our commissioners accept $1,000 every time the company has to open up a road to dig up a cable or whatever. To me, that doesn't even come close to covering the cost of material. There was no scope of work or negotiation built around even so much as simple as that to clarify who's responsible for what portions of what, after the, beginner or end. My other point of advice would be to, and it sounds like you're on a good route towards this, would be to zone and ordinance yourselves out of this. It appears to me from listening to the legislative sessions with the state that they want to see all counties have a big open sign to this, so that you don't get yourselves in a position where you're obviously opposed to this. I would make it to where you write it to where they want nothing to do with this, whether it be, make them, let's say under 120 feet high. Well, they don't make them that high anymore, or that low anymore. Or the zoning to where the setbacks are so obscene that there's no gain for them to even do this. That would be my advice. I agree with Mr. Luther that the state is going to eventually approve this bill that's going to make this more of a mandate that no one at your levels has anything to say about it. But I would try to get yourselves out in front of that to the best of your ability, and to make this, if you're going to have to do it, the best pill that you could swallow instead of the worst. We saw it where everything was face value, and as Neil mentioned, it seemed like we got very little out of the deal, and there was no negotiation, and the company looked at us like a bunch of dumb hillbillies that they could just steamroll over. So I also want to add that I second Neil's point. I really commend you for how you run the show here. I actually ran for county commissioner in Warren County to try to bring positive change to not only negotiation with the companies, but to try to bring some more professionalism like what we see here. So well done, gentlemen.
I got a question for you. Did you
Sir.
guys also have solar put in your county?
We don't have it yet, but it's being proposed, not by the residents, but by members of lobbyists and so on.
Okay.
We
Oh,
are actively
one-
drafting an ordinance on that.
Okay.
One more thing to add, the way we see it, or I see it demographically wise, is that I feel like they want Vermilion County to bring the chain on down from Benton through Warren and finish it all the way to Duke Energy. I feel like you guys hold the cards a lot by where you're actually located, so just remember that when you're up against the wall with these folks.
Is there Jordan Wind Farm there in your county?
Yes, it is. It's
I don't know if
just
you guys
north
know
of where I
that the
live.
power poles out here that were put in, that was from Jordan Wind Farm. They're pumping, I think, 400 or 450 megawatts down that road and pumped into our 345 yard here at Duke Energy. So that's where the power's coming from. That was a state issue when they brought that power line in. If you notice, it went right down the right of way of the state, and it was nothing that really had too much to do with the county. So, but that they are pumping roughly 400 megawatts of power into our 345 yard here at Duke Energy. We generate roughly 1,000 megawatts over here at the powerhouse. So, just letting you know where that power come from, where it went. So,
Thank you very much.
for coming.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Been a good meeting.
Brendan, do you want to do the ambulance
Yeah,
thing?
we have one other piece of
Oh.
business.
Sorry. I'm Chris Faulkner. I'm a resident of Vermilion County, and I'm against it. I really don't see the pros.
Where do you live at?
In Clinton.
Okay.
I don't really see the pros outweighing the cons on this situation, and I think it's a big red flag with you have a gentleman like this coming in from out of the county to basically warn us and inform us in a better way. I mean, it's kind of unheard of that somebody's going to take their time out to do something like that, and I just wanted to basically put my 2 cents on it. I don't have a speech. I'm not really much of a public speaker, but I know that the last meeting I was here, it kind of goes back and forth with talk to the AAPC, talk to the commissioners. I drove all the way down here, so I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that what my thoughts were on it. And
Have you talked to your two representatives? Would be John Moore in Clinton and also
Bob Alexander.
Bob Alexander.
Okay.
And if you wanted to voice your concern to them, that would be either way. I'm just
Right.
telling you who.
No, I just wanted to let the board know. I don't know how many of these meetings. I was only able to attend one of the town meetings because of work and other things going on. But from what I've seen a lot of people come from out of town, and like I said, I don't think it's good for the county.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Got a recommendation?
Yeah. The council last night appropriated the funds for the ambulance audit. We've had that in front of us for probably a month or better at this point. Anyway, I think we're on pretty solid ground with what we're requiring from the Baker Tilly for the audit. They appropriated $25,000 that the commissioners at their discretion can use for this audit. It's to be used to confirm and the cost and the viability of our ambulance service in the county and how it should be ran, or not how it should be ran, but how it should be placed and what those costs are. And it gives us the basis in which we can determine whether the ambulance service that we've got running at this point is viable for the county and viable for the locations where we're putting it, and for the demographics. It's not a matter of just population, but it has to do with a number of other aspects of the county and how we're situated, and also the position of the county as being, I guess everybody considers it long, but we can get there fast. But anyway, I recommend that we engage Baker Tilly to provide this audit and provide the information so that we can make a educated position for the council in order to approve these ambulance service contracts going forward. The way the contract's written currently is that if we, the council has to appropriate the funds. If they don't appropriate the funds for the ambulance service, we don't have a contract. And right now it's a 3-year contract, and either we do it or we don't do it. If we are going to negotiate a new contract, even if they don't approve it, we need a basis, and this will provide that basis for which we can enter into a new contract. It may be a tool in which we can use to make this a better contract, which I'm kind of leaning toward myself, and I'm not so sure about the ambulance services or not, but I don't find the contract to be necessarily favorable to the ambulance service or to us for that matter. So I recommend that I would make a motion that we approve the funding for the ambulance audit and provide Baker Tilly with, get a schedule and get this under the road, get on the road.
I'll second Britton's motion.
Discussion? So, and when does that contract come up due? We have to have that renewed?
September, what?
It just says September.
I don't remember the exact date, September something.
Yeah, it's written weird. It's subject to council financing every year. But I mean, no, I don't think any council in the right mind will not, finance it every year to make sure we have
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? One other thing we need to talk about, we haven't, we had a resignation from the RISE board. Nick Mack resigned, so we need to put out a application. Did you put the notice out?
Michael Mack
I'm
on the
sorry?
rise.
Mick Mack resigned from the RISE
I
board,
heard
so
that,
we
yeah.
need to make a public,
You need to sign that.
how we ought to, how do you suppose we ought to do that?
I would like to, my recommendation would be to open appointments back up for the rise, whether it be 30 days, 45 days, whatever the commissioners would do, and I'd like to advertise that, and after the 30 or 45 days is up, then look over the applicants and review and appoint somebody from that.
I think we should accept applicants, whether we pick from that list or not. I think we should see what interests there are out there for this position. One of the things that we tried to do with the board, with the RISE board, was to get a group together that represented everything from the small businesses and the smaller issues to the persons who have a greater regional or national viewpoint. We're restricted that the person has to live in the unit or basically in the county to be able to be on the RISE board. And anyway, that was our perspective going into that, looking at the different types of businesses that people were in. And what we're trying to do is get a good cross-section of people in there so that we had different ideas and not necessarily any person that could overweigh another person as far as whether we have a 2-person firm going to the RISE or a 50-person firm or another Eli Lilly for that matter. So, and the other one was Tom Milligan. He was an existing board member there. We thought it was important to keep a historical perspective with the board as well, to be able to further what had been done and why it was done and bring that forward as well. So those are the reasons that the board appointments were made before. I think Mick Mack, he was probably the person that we saw as the person who could fill that role of the populace in the non-home category, the rentals, the apartments, the middle category of the economy here. He's a business person, and I think had a pretty level head on him. I'm sorry to see him go. I'm not talked to him about that.
So we're going. Are we done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
No, he's not. Now, why do we want to set a date, 30 days or 60 days to have this? Can we put it on our, make it do like they normally do on the applications on our website? You know how we did it for boards and put it on there where they can actually fill it out?
I would say 30 days is enough time.
Yeah, I don't think, we're not doing a service to the RISE for letting it go any longer.
Yeah, I'd say 30 days effective.
Okay.
August 20th.
That works.
Who will post that on the website?
Send it out.
And you want it in the paper also, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So then you'll want to read something in on the next commissioners meeting, so that would be the 31st.
Yep.
Okay. One last call, anybody? One last call, that didn't sound right, did it?
Last call, what do you?
One last chance.
What are you, bartender Tim? Last call?
My name is Shirley Downs, and I have left a blue folder for each of you. And it is information about wind turbines. It's not just the sky effect that I'm really concerned about, it's the health issues that come with it. It talks about the infrasound. There's a 40-year study in there that talks how even back in 1980s they started learning about what infrasound does to people. It also talks about how it affects heart, and there's also information about how different wind companies in their processes of construction have closed off people's water sources. And I do have some information to follow up with some of the information I gave you. My question is, would you prefer to have hard copy like I gave you, or emails? What would be best? Not me, well, I guess so. I'm not a computer, I know how to...
I mean, personally, for me, hard copies are fine with me. I know I
Okay.
received another folder maybe a week ago, I think, as well, with comments.
Okay.
So, yeah, hard copies for me, or emails. I mean, I'll read anything, so it don't matter. Whatever's easiest for the public.
So, well, I'll do whatever my email doesn't always come back. I mean, I can send it out, but if you guys send back to me, I can't respond to you. And like I said, I'm not computer tech, so I have no idea about that. So I just thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk. I just want to see Annie's face. I'm kidding. I'm good. I'm good.
Britton, you done? RJ, you done?
I'm good. I'm ready to go home.
Anybody make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. Meeting adjourned. It was a good meeting.
It was a good meeting.
Promise, we were rolling through the agenda.
There's always my wife bed about 9. And she's always checks me, I've got dinner on the table, are you gonna be home or not? And I'm just, I don't know, we got 2 or 3 things left, we're trying to get through the day.
But you gotta admit we had this discussion.
In addition to the boat race, though, for the future, we should use the length of our county to our advantage. We could have marathons and never leave the county road here. We could have bicycle races and never leave the county road. We could do a lot of weekend big running and biking events that would bring people in the area.
Or somebody values runs, somebody has
Yeah.
at the trail.
I'm heading home for dinner, so I'll see you gentlemen later.
That's what I want to do.
What I'm gonna do, if you
Mine might be
scan it,
chicken and
then you
noodle
can
soup,
send it to
though,
them,
so.
and get the hard-
Mine won't
mail the
even be
hard
there.
copy to them. That's what we typically
I
do.
have to keep the
Copy, that's what
Do I need to,
I have to keep-
Annie, do I need to sign anything else?
No, I have to keep the
Thank
hard
you.
copy.
is that
If they wanted that, she'll have it.
We have 2
Yeah, I
appointments.
have it. I put them in a book, kind of contract that's signed goes in a book.
You don't have everything in contracts, do you?
You hear what he did to me?
So like on this one, do I need
No.
to send this to them?
He's trying to get
or
it
is there a
They should have
certain
signed
person?
it first.
Yeah, I don't
Dan
think-
Elliott.
Dan Elliott?
John Lawson said he wanted to get that concrete from the church. Had some concrete down at the church.
Yeah.
So my back was sitting down there. And so.
You
he
met
said,
her,
"I need to have
I mean, not
some,
met,
concrete
Sheriff,
down at the
Brenda was
church."
Sheriff, I'm sure you were.
And we're trading a lot. I said,
Yeah.
and he said, I said, okay, what do you do? I said, my back was down there, but it's go. So he went down there, dropped down there, and he said,
Some of these-
put some of the where you seal it up and polish. And rushed. He went down there and he said, so I'm trying to count how many.
So I know, I wanna make sure.
So I don't know if someone, maybe it was. Lo and behold,
So I'll put that on
They're,
there.
Dan, I took my backhoe, they loaded up the concrete.
Draft.
In the county truck.
On the website, who's really gonna see it?
Somebody took pictures of them. I helped
Would
them.
it not be better
Someone took
putting
a
on
horrible
the
tour.
county handler, like a
I don't know who they are.
Take pictures of you?
No, the county, they use my backhoe.
Community page, but that's not anything official.
Or church.
That's what I mean, but
I
there
want-
wasn't comments, wouldn't that be a better place?
Not that I get comments, what I want to start, I want the county website to be the place where people go to get the actual information. These websites,
You're donating
you know,
to
it's
church.
and
It was a church property.
Yeah, see, we had.
regardless of what's on there, they're held by a certain individual that administers
And I said, I can supply.
and they can dictate whether it goes on there or doesn't go on there, and who can make a comment, and who can't make it.
So if I come by Friday, I said,
It's a micro version of what they do in the big world.
Something similar.
The other thing,
Because he thought there was something
I'm
about
holding
Ward
off
County.
to get
Here's
it
my
all
card.
filed for
Like, have him call me or you call me, let me know what's going on, and we'll get it taken care of. Thank you.
Legal budget.
All right, I'll see you guys. We'll head out to see you guys.
So my charge,
I don't wanna talk about
so I'm not in a big push to get that done right now.
leadership for me in
That-
town.
I guess right.
I think I'm taking this in a progression.
Well, like I
Yeah.
told you before, if I had time, I might, but I'm.
It's just like, this is probably one of the few
Tried for about 3 years to give me
boards that actually has a potential SOP.
Send me the dates and I'll see if I can.
To how we're going to operate, and whether we call it or not, it's another matter, but at least we've got a roadmap
Well, I
now.
think these guys are good. I think these guys are good.
But there's just too many.
Good meeting, man. Was, very informative. We
If they're scheduling, they want to schedule it every other month. And then if something comes up, like you think we need to have, it, then they'll come in
Tim.
for it. That's kind of where they want to leave it.
I'm sorry I didn't make the last meeting. I was sitting up here waiting for everybody. My phone was in my car.
Oh, was it?
It
Yeah.
was, so I didn't,
Oh, okay.
not that I would've got it anyway. Sometimes it gets stuff and it doesn't. I didn't know you were here until I walked downstairs.
It's gonna work out.
I'm glad you
What's nice
guys.
is we got knowledge.
I'm gonna give Tim heck. You see it says name, and then down here it says signature. You see what he did?
Looks like something I did.
He ruins it for me, now they're gonna send it back to you. He doesn't. Hey, what? That's what I'm talking to Craig about, the whole drainage. Dana did send the drainage thing.
I've heard about it. I have heard about it. I know where it's at. I'm sorry. I don't know it's out there. And I said, you know, it's away from the industrial development. I said, it's an all-pro house.
Is that the
I heard
tax? Take your money.
I'm not against it. I just wish I had
Okay, so when they get the money, the treasurer, they pay their taxes.
Joel, I thought Joel was.
Setting that money.
Joel, I thought Tim and I, he talked briefly about the meeting, I said, you sound like you know about the same. Yeah. I said, Eddie talked a little bit about it, and I saw the copy of the proposal from, Eddie said it, like, yeah, oh, from Glen
I know this gets sent to the race, but I didn't know how to collect it.
It's almost like there's a subcommittee, it sounds like.
Drainage board decided how many dollars per foot, whatever it was. The property owner.
I don't know if it was Bob and all that stuff, and well, direct email. I said, you're gonna be on this way, these are requirements. So, I mean, it's kind of like the rising channel. You
So what happens is, the county gets more money, they're following.
You know, I know his meetings are involved in
But the legal question is,
You know, like Joel's telling me.
if the county collects money on an annual basis,
You know,
I think you're at a 30-year deal, they have a 20.
Well, what Scott explained to me was.
Yeah, it sounds like a couple of people.